We draw the curtains on perhaps one of the worst years for Indian real estate. Sales have been falling, resulting in pile-up of unsold inventories. Call it a vicious cycle, but cash-strapped builders say they can't cut prices given the high trajectory of inflation and borrowing costs, whereas buyers say they will stay away until there's a sharp price correction. Manas Vigilani recaps 2013 for you.
A surest bang for the buck for Indians has been the real estate market. But the year that went by was an unusual one. 2013 closed with several key events changing the property game. Starting with the tumbling rupee against the dollar that led some foreign funds either hold their investment plans while others exited Indian projects with lower returns. According to Cushman & Wakefield, in first half of 2013, real estate private equity investments were recorded at 1,638 crore as against 3,50 crore in 2012. That is a sharp 46% decline in investments. This severely impacted all real estate segments, retail, commercial and residential in that order. Starting with the worst hit retail business, poor revenue models, exorbitant rentals, a lack of specialty outlets, low brand pull, and last but not the least, sheer mismanagement. All of this is to be blamed for India's glitzy malls losing their sheen. Vacancy levels are alarming high at 14.51%, prompting developers to defer mall openings. Cushman & Wakefield says, opening of 18 malls were deferred in 2013, 10 of which were housed in the National Capital Region. That doesn't come as a surprise considering NCR's mall vacancy is the highest in the country at a staggering 55%. Mumbai is a close second with 52% vacancy and followed by Ahmedabad and Chennai.
Blackstone has invested, they've built up a portfolio of almost 25 to 30 million square feet of office. Why not shopping center? They would love to build a shopping center, but there is just no quality shopping center and it's not a FDI compliant investment product from their point of view. IT parks are.
While some may be getting big on India's commercial story, others initiated the process of office consolidation, resulting to shrinking office spaces. Rental values showed no signs of correction, leading to sky-high vacancy levels pan-India. Vacancy rate for 2013 signs off at around 18.2%, rising from 17.4% as of end of 2012. Hyderabad and Delhi NCR were the biggest contributors in terms of vacancy levels. This was largely due to the increased new supply as against the fall in absorption. Mumbai and Bangalore, on the other hand, witnessed marginal fall in vacancy. Poor macroeconomic conditions and skyrocketing inflation made consumers wary of spending, leading to a stark decline in residential units from 1,96,000 square feet to about 1,72,000 square feet. Overall, 2013 witnessed a decline of 12% in new launches as against 2012. Luxury segment saw a fall of 72% this year, followed by a 25% and 13% decline in mid and affordable housing segments respectively. All this is due to the oversupply of units from the last 3 years builders are sitting on, say experts.
All charges that we pay, whether it be towards staircase premiums, whether it be towards development charges, fungible charges, all are pegged against the ready reckoner rate, which automatically means all those prices have gone up by the 15 to 20%, and then add to that the funding cost, the profit added on, etc., would mean that another 15-20% goes up for the consumer.
Despite this, residential property prices continue to exhibit upward movement, eroding consumers' purchasing power. According to 99acres.com, on a year-on-year basis, NCR saw an 8% increase in property prices, while Mumbai and Pune rose by 3%, and Bangalore, Chennai and Hyderabad by 5%. Even the festive season did not bring any cheer for developers, where the sales were lower by 90% compared to last year. The question now is, will 2014 bring in some good news with developers chopping rates for home buyers waiting at the fence?
If the market at that given point in time is not open to sales at those prices, definitely there will be a price correction. But for now, we are not seeing that kind of a price correction. I think the price correction will maybe come in 6 months down the line.
But the year marks some huge self-consumption stories that deserve a mention. Some business tycoons did leave a mark on this calendar year despite overall slump. The iconic Cadbury House, located in the heart of South Bombay, was bought for a jaw-dropping 350 crore by a diamond merchant, Dilip Kumar Lakhi. Developers like Lodha, Oberoi, Orbit Corp, Kalpataru were all eyeing this solitaire. Mumbai's property market is reeling under pressure and perhaps that's why these developers decided to opt for a more cautious stance. Other top dollar deal was signed in October by billionaire investor Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who bought half of sea-facing building comprising 6 plush apartments in Mumbai's upmarket Malabar Hill area, owned by Standard Chartered Bank for about 176 crore. In May this year, Yes Bank CEO and Managing Director Rana Kapoor bought a residential building on Altamount Road from Citibank and GlaxoSmithKline for about 128 crore. There is no denial that 2013 remains subdued, but falling further from already tepid levels will only make things worse for the cash-strapped sector.
Given the current situation and the cash-starved real estate sector, my guess is that this sector with the immediate requirement is between $5 to $10 billion amongst different asset classes like residential, commercial, hospitality and some of these SEZs and long gestation township projects. Financial discipline from the developer's end also probably can help in smoothing out this whole process.
As we bring in the new year, industry voices are hopeful that efforts to fight policy paralysis will continue in good spirit. REITs and FDI will see the light of the day and bring in the much-needed breather to the cash-strapped sector. Relevant supply, and by that we mean affordable housing supply, is the 2014 mantra that will bridge the mismatch between demand and supply and that has shot up prices and put all stakeholders in a lurch. In hope for a better tomorrow, this is Manasvi Gilani signing off.
The Cadbury house sale wasn't the only big deal of 2013. The other landmark transaction involved the Mumbai-based Lodha Group. Lodha's shocked the world when it announced it would buy the Canadian High Commission's prestigious McDonald House in London's prime Grosvenor Square for over 3,000 crore rupees. The realty firm plans to convert this pre-Second World War iconic property into super luxury condos. And the London property firm that represented the Canadian High Commission says the new development could be 3 times of what the Lodhas paid. So the Lodhas seem to have made a smart deal. Here's a ground report. This is the iconic McDonald House. Built before the Second World War, it has a posh address of 1 Grosvenor Square. In the prime Mayfair area of central London, it's a stone's throw away from Oxford Street and in close proximity to the Buckingham Palace. It's been the Canadian High Commission for over 50 years, but the Bombay-based Lodha Group will move in here in 2014. After 2 months of deliberation, Lodha Group signed the dotted line and exchanged contracts to buy this marquee McDonald House for over 3,000 crore rupees, of which 10% has already been paid.
The commission clearance is already in place. The initial amounts of payment which was due as per the bid document have already been made. The remaining payments are to be made in a couple of tranches, which shall be completed before the month of March.
That will be spread across a cumulative 160,000 square feet. And we're talking about one of the world's most posh addresses, so buyers of the proposed condos will have to pay top dollar. Simon Stone handled the deal with the Lodhas and we asked him how much the condos could be sold for.
We see it as a very, very prime piece of central London and therefore would expect them to get the very best of prices. On a sale basis, £5,000 to £6,000 per square foot is very achievable there.
Once developed, the 150,000 square feet in here could well fetch above $1 billion. Taking into account the restructuring costs, the Lodhas should still come away from this smiling and smiling broadly. A lot will depend, of course, on just how elegantly they develop it and the market mood later.
And if they develop great units in this location, people will want them. And if people are competing for them, the prices will be achieved. So I think it's to do with the end product that's delivered as much as an arbitrary per square foot value today.
There's a lot of property scattered around London waiting for foreign buyers. One of the other properties is 20 Grosvenor Square, owned by the Abu Dhabi Investment Council, that along with property developer Finchatan had bought for £250 million in 2013.
As the Lodhas have rightly figured, this is about as smart an address as you can have anywhere, and there are people around the world with the means and the will to move in right here. With Karma Wangdi, Sanjay Suri in London.
So in the new year, we'll see Lodhas hit the market in one of the world's most posh squares. On that note, let's step into a short break. On the other side, Investors Clinic gives 4 tips to buyers on just how to beat the real estate slowdown. Stay tuned.